I can't believe we're past halfway. We're on day 7 already, and we've had such a wide range of games being submitted, and today is no exception. I am going to share with you a really fun Christmas game, and then we're going to look at how to create a score, a top score that everyone can see no matter where they are in the world. So our featured game for day 7 is called Fat Reindeer. Maybe not the most politest of game names, but it is what it is. We have a reindeer and it's a 2D platform flying through the air kind of game. So when we click the green flag a couple of times, you have to press it 2 times and we play it along. Let's make this big screen so we can see what's going on here. So what's actually happening in this code? Obviously, the reindeer is flying through the buildings. But what we've got here, we've got a live system, which is nice. It's not using a variable. It's using images, which is always a nice feature. We are collecting the candy canes, which gives us an extra point. And you can see they've hidden the variable name, so we can just have the score visible there. And what's actually happening is we have some spawned buildings coming across the screen like this. We're not actually moving. This sprite is not moving at all. It's actually the cloned houses are moving towards the left, as well as the canes, the candy canes. So nice. And there's a little bit of animation on the reindeer. Looks like maybe 3 different images on the loop. But let's have a look inside and see if we're correct. So we've got the reindeer sprite here, and we've got 4 costumes there. So 4 different costumes to have that feeling of movement. We've got the sprite of the different costumes of the houses. So there's 4 different houses that are flying through, and we can see here on the code set starting column to pick random 1 to 3. So it's going to pick a random number from 1 to 3, and it's creating a clone, and then it's going to wait a random 1 or 2 seconds, and depending on what the starting column is, it's going to fly at different places on the screen. So a nice little bit of code there, and very enjoyable. So thank you very much to S513034 for sharing your wonderful game with us and letting us play it. So thank you very much. We are so lucky to have some amazing Scratch experts, and Magenta Pink has been amazing. They've shared 2 wonderful, big, huge amounts of tips, lines and lines of tips, both for animation and for coding. Now, I wish I could go through every single one. Magenta Pink makes incredible animations. I'll put the link to go and follow their studio at the bottom of the video. But some of the things they featured in their tips included things like using vectors rather than bitmaps if you're doing animation. What this means is when you are painting your sprite, you have an option to convert to bitmap or stay as a vector. You can see at the bottom there you can choose. Another great tip we were given was if you were having say an arm, make them 2 different elements. Now I'm very terrible at drawing here, but you can see having your elbow separate to your arm. And another great coding tip as well, 2 coding tips I'm going to share with you. One is the code actually changes on the left depending on where your sprite is. So if you want to position it at a certain point, move it to that certain point and then use the block from there, and it'll be at that exact place. And the other thing Magenta Pink told us about was the backpack at the bottom. You can actually you can move blocks into the backpack and then go into a different project and open that backpack up, and that code will be there. Wonderful tips. So today's top tip is going to be about keeping a score that is saved no matter where you're playing in the world. So in other words, let's look at this. This is a game that I spent a long time making called Binky's Escape. And you'll see here it says current top score holder, and it's got a username and the world's best score. Now, it doesn't matter who plays this game, that will be the same for everyone. And you can see this little cloud here. That's because it's considered considered a cloud variable. And a cloud variable is a variable that isn't actually just focused on my own computer or when I play this game, but to everyone. It's stored within Scratch, and so that anyone that plays this game will see this world's best score. So this is my game. I'm going to skip the intro, but you're more than welcome to have a play, and you will see I've got a score up at the top, and the idea is I've got to try and splat these baddies with ink, and you can see my score going up. And for now, I am going to let myself get eliminated. So I finished with a score of 6. Now when I click try again, my score is 0 there, and it still shows me the world's best score because I didn't get higher than 63, so the world's best score hasn't changed. Right, let's have a look how this works so you can try and do it in your games. One good reason for doing a world's top score is it brings players back to your game. They're more likely to play your game because they want to beat the world's best score. They want their name to appear as the world's best score. Okay, so I've saved a copy of Binky's Escape because I don't want to change the person who's got the world's best score. And also I've got a bit more advanced code going on here, so I'm going to just try and simplify it a little bit so you can understand how to use it. Now, when I receive game over, okay, so when there's a game over, it's going to do a quick check, and it's going to check if the world's best score is lower than the score. So let's imagine that the world's best score is 15. Okay, so that is the score that's stored in Scratch. 15 is the score to beat. If that's less than my score, let's say I scored 20. So I scored 20. Well, 20 is bigger than 15. This is true. So therefore, what we want to do is we want to change the world's best score to my score. So it's going to change 15 into 20. And therefore it's going to update, and it is literally that easy. I've got a couple of variables that you need to create: world's best score and score, but you should probably already have a score, and if you don't know how to create a score, then maybe I can do that in a different video. To create a cloud variable, it's as simple as going to variables, clicking make a variable, get rid of this now, and you'll see at the bottom it says cloud variable stored on server. So you click on that, and then you type in world score. Once you've created that and you click OK, you will then have a cloud variable, which basically means something that can change, but it will stay consistent for whoever's playing your game. Now, in my game, I don't want to go into too much details, but if you wanted to make a copy of Binky's Escape, you might be able to make sense of it. In my game, I've got a encoded feature, and the reason for that is that in Scratch you can't use a cloud variable as text. So in other words, you can't write the name as a variable. So I wanted to have the current top score holder and the username, but I wasn't allowed to do that because you can't store it as that. So what it does is, and I can zoom out a little bit, so I've got some special code that I learned from Griffpatch, and I'll put the link onto Griffpatch's code. He was making a Slither.io game, and he had something similar to this, and basically you're encoding a message. So what you're doing, if I go to my lists and I've got my code here, you can see down here that every number from 10 all the way down to 46 or 50, because you've got these symbols as well, all of these are assigned a character. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to convert the username into numbers using this code. We then send that information to the cloud variable as numbers, so that when you join to play on a game, it then takes that number and converts it back to this thing called encoded, which is actually the name of the person who's got the world record. So does that make sense? So I'm actually converting the name into numbers so that it sits in the cloud as just a bank of numbers. So I don't know, Mr. Hill 26 might be Mr. Hill, might be 12, 15, 23, 6, 4, etc., etc. Although there's no single digit, so it'd be 16, 14, something like that. And that's what sits in the cloud. That's what sits on Scratch. But then when someone comes to play it and they click the green flag, it immediately knows, oh, that number there, that means Mr. Hill 26. So it's like a secret code. So we can somehow get around the fact that we can't use words as cloud variables. Like I say, I'm probably not going to explain that today because I think Griffpatch explains it very well in one of his videos for Slither.io. But basically, the code is here. Anything with the word encoded in my code here, you can use in your game, and hopefully you can have that name appear as your world's best score too. So thank you very much for checking in for the top tip today. We're going to finish there for day 7. Day 8, we'll be back tomorrow with some more featured games and more top tips.